Hey, everyone. Welcome back for our Wednesday training. Give me 1 second. I am going to make sure that we share this into my Facebook community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. If you guys aren't in there, definitely hop in. Today, we're going to talk about 5 simple ways to level up your personal brand in 2024 because branding is so incredibly important. When it comes to making your content stand out, when it comes to having your business stand out. And I'm sharing this into my Facebook community. We're streaming right now on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. But if you guys aren't already aware, Facebook made some changes to their API settings. So unfortunately, you cannot stream directly into a group anymore. And we're having to have all kinds of workarounds. But if you are here and you are watching, let me know in the comments that you're watching live. If you catch the replay, which you won't be able to see the replay on TikTok, of course, but the replay lives in my Facebook community, Socially Awesome Entrepreneurs. So if you catch the replay, drop replay in the comments, and we will make sure, to answer any questions that you have if you're watching after the fact. So really excited to be here. If you're new and you've never seen any of my trainings before, I'm Elise Smith. I am your go-to social media marketing expert and branding strategist. And today we're going to dive into, like I said, personal branding. And a lot of times people make the mistake of thinking that personal branding is just a logo or a font. Obviously, I'm logoed out here, but it's so much more than that, right? It's your messaging. It is how you connect with your audience. It is your offer. It is what makes you unique. And today I hope to give you some different insights on personal branding, because if you have been working on growing a business online at all, then you have to have a brand, right? If you don't have a brand, you're not going to stand out. You're not going to be unique. And there's no reason people should pick you or purchase from you or work with you. So before we dive into the topic in general, because I'm going to give you 5 actionable steps today that you're going to be able to put into your business. So if you have something handy where you can take notes, I definitely recommend that you do. But let me know in the comments what questions you have around branding, okay? Because I want to make sure that this is interactive. I want to make sure that I address and answer any questions that you have. So let me know. Go ahead and start dropping them in the comments. Let me know if you have any questions, if you're new to branding, if you have no idea what branding is, or maybe you are somebody whose brand's on point, right? And that's awesome. That's what we want. So drop me your comments. Let me know what questions you have, and then we're going to dive right in, okay? And yes, I'm still drinking coffee at noon. All right. So I will make sure that we come back and we answer all of the questions at the end, as always, because I want to dive right into the training. I'm going to try to keep this brief to 30 minutes today, just so that it can be something quick and actionable that you can put into your business. Now, I will also let you know before we get started that the Socially Awesome podcast is back. So we took a break for 2 or 3 months with the podcast to really adjust and decide, what topics I was going to bring to the podcast and, how we could really serve our audience with the podcast. So I think the last episode before yesterday was in March. So we did take like a 2-month pause on the podcast. So if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely do that. That's another way for you to plug into your business. That's another way for you to get actionable, bite-sized trainings. All of my episodes are 10 minutes or less. Okay. I want them to be something that you learn and you go implement it, right? Because that is Socially Awesome's vision that's my mission, is to help online entrepreneurs implement simple social strategies. And the key word there is implement, right? You could watch all the trainings. You probably already have. You probably have tons of courses and trainings you've watched or purchased in the past. And if you're not implementing what you're learning, it does no good. Okay. It does nothing for you. All it's doing is giving you infobesity, and you are learning more than you're actually doing. Okay. So if you're not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely do that. We dropped our first episode for the new season yesterday, and all of the episodes will come out at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on Tuesdays. Okay. So definitely another way for you to plug in. It's quick, easy. You can listen to it on the way to work, while you walk, while you're at the gym, doesn't matter. All right. So let's dive into today's topic. Before we get into the actionable tips, though, I really want us to revisit what a personal brand is and what it's all about, because a lot of people think that, and you might even be thinking this yourself, is that, well, I just started like 3 months ago. I'm not a brand. I'm a person. I'm a mom. This is just a side hustle. I'm not anything big or fancy. And I'm going to tell you, personal branding is more about how you present yourself to the world and your audience. Okay. Logos, fonts, colors, all that's important. And we'll get into that in a little bit, but it's more about how you present yourself. So it is your vibe. It is your personality. Again, it's what makes you unique. It's what people think about you and how you make them feel, what they say about you, especially when you're not in the room, and how they remember you, right? So you've probably heard this before. I'm not going to be the first person that ever tells you this, but people remember how you make them feel more than anything. Okay. And it makes me feel really good, honestly, really good. When I get on calls, I do connect calls, not every day, but I do have, some time on my calendar for connect calls for people that are in my Facebook community. Okay. So when you join my community, you typically will get a message, when you answer the questions to join, I ask you want me to reach out to see if there is something I can help you with, right? And some people might take that as she's just trying to pitch us into her program. Some people might take that as she's just trying to sell me. But that's not the goal, right? The goal is if my programs are for you, great. If you're interested in my club, you're interested in my academy, amazing. Okay. I want to work with you. I want to help you. I want to accelerate your growth and your business. But if that's not for you and it's not your budget right now, or you're not at that level where you're ready, then I want to at least be able to point you to a resource, right? I want to at least be able to say, hey, look, if you're struggling with this, go check this out. Or I've done this training, or I've done this podcast episode that might help you. I had 2 connect calls yesterday with students that are people in my audience. I use students intermittently, but people in my audience that are only like 60 days into their business. They're not really ready for mentorship just yet. They just got started. They're really in that phase where I've spent more money than I've made, right? And that's okay. And I gave them tips and actionable steps to go do, with no expectation of them purchasing anything from me in return. And both of them said on that call, I can't believe you actually get on the phone with people. I know you're busy. I know you're growing a brand and you've got all of these things. I cannot believe no other creator out there would get on the phone with me for a free call to give me help. That is how I make people feel. That is my goal of how I make people feel. That will always be my goal. Obviously, I'm a business, not a nonprofit, so I can't give away everything for free. But that is what I want people to think of Socially Awesome. I want them to think she's going to help me with no expectation in return. That's what I want. What do you want people to remember about you? What do you want people to think about how you make them feel? Okay. So that your personal brand today, what we're going to talk about is more about how they remember you and how you make them feel. Because I can promise you this, they might not purchase from you today, but in the future, when they are ready to invest, or they are ready to, get mentorship, or they are ready for that course, they're going to come back to you because of how you made them feel. Okay. So that's a goal. That's not me bragging on myself. I'm sharing a real life example that just happened yesterday. Okay. Another thing too, that I want you to remember is personal touch. Okay. Personal touch is so important. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. And the concept of personal branding isn't new. Okay. It was actually popularized by Tom Peters about 25 years ago. He wrote an article, you can Google it, A Brand Called You. And he really emphasized that we're all CEOs of our own brands. Okay. So you, again, might be thinking, sitting behind your phone or computer or wherever you're watching this, I'm not a CEO. I'm just a mom of 3 who's, making silly videos on TikTok. No, You have to start treating your business like you are the CEO, you're running the ship. It's a business, not a side hustle, not a hobby. Okay. If you want business results, you got to treat it like a business. You got to be the CEO. You got to step up and have a schedule, have an action plan. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you right now, no 6 or 7 figure creator out there, I don't care what they sell, a course, a program, an affiliate marketer, doesn't matter. They didn't get to 6 or 7 figures by accident. It didn't, I don't care what their clickbaity Instagram reels say. I accidentally made 6 figures last year. Bullshit. They had a plan, they had a strategy, they have a daily method of operations, they show up for their business every day. Okay. So does it all have to be cookie cutter? Do you have to do everything the way I tell you to do it? No. Do you have to use my exact strategy? No. But you've got to have something, some kind of daily method of operations you do in your business, some kind of brand that you're showing up with every day if you want results. So you need to start treating it like you're a CEO. Okay. Start acting like that. Start speaking with conviction. And that's something we're going to talk about here shortly, is your messaging and the way that you speak to people. Okay. So why does personal branding matter? Personal branding is, your story in a noisy marketplace. It's how you stand out. So I have seen and heard in my DMs or seen in content, a lot of people talking about, oh, digital marketing is saturated, or I'm going to stop promoting this course because too many other people are promoting it. Okay. Let's dive into this a little bit. All right. One, digital marketing is a category, right? So if I'm selling t-shirts online, I'm still digital marketing. Okay. If I'm selling health and wellness supplements online, I'm still digital marketing. So I want people to stop thinking that digital marketing is saturated, because we're not all selling the same thing. And 9 times out of 10, the reason you feel like the product or service you're bringing to the table is saturated is because that's the content you're consuming constantly. You're consuming all of this content from people that are selling something similar to you. And so the algorithm's feeding it to you and you're like, oh my God, I don't even have a chance. There's so many people. Get over that. Okay. There's 1,000 business coaches out there and there's 1,000 people teaching you social media out there, but there's a reason you're watching this live. Something I say explains it to you in a way no one else does. You like my vibe. You like my style. We've connected. There's a reason, right? So that's why personal branding matters, is so that you stand out in this noisy marketplace. You cannot control the algorithms. You're not going to beat them. So you gotta push. You can only control what you can control, right? So you got to quit staying awake at night worried about the algorithm. Good content will always rise to the top. The cream of the crop always rises to the top. And the only way, or a big piece of creating good content, is making it different. Okay. Standing out, not just being cookie cutter with what everyone else is doing. Okay. 33% of people trust brand messages, but 90% of people trust recommendations from someone they know. So your personal brand builds trust. Okay. So if 33% of people trust brand messages, that's going to be what I say in my content. Okay. That means 2/3 of the people seeing my content don't trust me yet. Right. And that should be a goal of yours, is to build trust. So that's something you need to be consistently working on. A lot of that trust can be built through authenticity. It can be built through social proof. It can be built through, being realistic in your content, not being clickbaity. But 90% of people trust a brand that was recommended to them. So is your content share worthy? Are you standing out enough for someone to click and say, okay, this live was so good, I'm going to share this with my other friend that does digital marketing because they need to see it? Is your messaging share worthy? Are people tagging people in your videos and your posts? Are people inviting people to your Facebook group? Are you share worthy? Ask yourself that. And if you're not, you need to deep dive into why, right? Because you've heard this before too. It's not always about what you know, it's about who you know. You've heard that, right? Okay. Think about it. If someone loves you enough to work with you, you help get them a result. Why would they not share it with their friends and family? Are you asking your audience to share it with their friends and family? Are you asking your audience to share your video? So you have to know that your messaging builds trust, and it's really important that it becomes share worthy. So let's dive into the 5 ways to level up your personal brand. I said in 2024, honestly, we're halfway through the year. So I would go ahead and start putting some of these steps into place now. Okay. Halfway through the year. Are you halfway to your goal? All right. So first and foremost, defining your core values is really important. Okay. So people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. All right. Your values are the foundation of your brand. And again, I know there are some of you sitting out there going, I just started like 90 days ago. I don't know, right? You're second guessing yourself already. You're already feeling like you can't do this. You're already making excuses for yourself. Okay. You still need to have values for your brand. So sit down today. Action step number 1, take some time to write down values, 3 to 5 values for your brand. This is very important, you guys, because these will guide your decisions and help you stay true to your brand. Okay. So I'll give you some like real life examples here. One of my values is authenticity. Always. Okay. Always. I don't come on here and share fake screenshots. I don't come in here and, say I achieved something I didn't. I don't try to show up or change my voice or, be someone else. People want to work with me because of who I am. Okay. And why I do it. Right. Same for you. It's not any different for you. So what are some of your core values? Maybe integrity. Integrity is one of my core values, right? Integrity. So it helps guide me in my business every single day. Because if something crosses my plate or my email, like it will, right? You get that imposter syndrome. You start to question. I say, I have a piece of content that's going to come out tomorrow or the next day, but I'll give you guys a spoiler alert. Talking about there's one word in your business that's really bouncing you around. And it's part of the reason you feel overwhelmed. And that word is or. Because you're going, oh, should I start adding more hashtags, or should I buy that new viral course, or should I, like, every day you're asking yourself or 25 times. It's bouncing you around and you're not able to stay focused and stay strategic and be a CEO. Okay. So it's really important that you know your values because they'll guide you, right? I've had multiple DMs over the last couple of days about some new viral course that's out there. I don't even know. I haven't even looked at it, but I was very quick to tell my audience, I'm not purchasing that. I'm really focused on my brand and my mentorship because I know that people are going to need extra support when they start their business. So integrity is a big thing for me. And that value, that core value of my business is one of the reasons I made that decision to not even look at it. And I'll explain to you why. And I'm not judging anyone that did. I have a very large audience. Okay. I've got 30-something thousand followers on Facebook, 60-something thousand on TikTok. Between my 2 Instagrams, I got about 20. I got 100,000 audience combined. I could buy that course, probably make 10 grand by the end of the week, just because I put my name behind it, just because I said it's worthy, because you trust me. Okay, you trust me. But I'm not going to do that. There's other creators doing it. I'm not judging them for it. But I can tell you right now, I know I could. I could make 10 grand before I'm in Florida on Friday, because my audience trusts me. And if I send them an email or I make a video about it and say, hey, you got to check this out, they would run and buy it. But it doesn't feel good to me to do that, because a large portion of my audience has already bought courses and they're still struggling to make sales. Okay. So I used one of my core values to make a decision in my business not to put the money aside. It doesn't matter. It's not going to help my brand to keep bouncing around like a ping pong ball. Okay. And it's also against my integrity, because what's going to happen is I could sell that course on repeat, and then I'm still going to have people in my DM saying, I bought another course and I still don't know what to do, and I'm not making any sales, right? That is a perfect example of how you use your core values to make decisions in your business. Okay. Another example, I talked about authenticity. I see a lot of content that goes viral and I could easily recreate it, especially some of these clickbaity pieces. But I'm like, you know what? It doesn't feel good to me. It's not authentic. It's not real. Nobody's really working 1 to 2 hours a day. Nope, not doing it, because it's not authentic. So I want you to definitely today write down 3 to 5 values that are important to you. A lot of times they're going to be the same values that are your personal values. Okay. What are things you want to teach your kids? That's a value. Okay. Courage, integrity, impact, authenticity. Okay. Number 2, because I'm definitely not going to be under the 30-minute mark. I'm so sorry, you guys. I always say that and I never hit that mark. Okay. Number 2, sharpen your verbal personal brand. So this is your messaging. Okay. Your tone is crucial. Okay. Your tone tells people 93% of communication is nonverbal. So let me unpack that, because I know that sounds confusing. It's not about what you say. It's about how you say it, right? Again, you've heard this. Your mom probably told you that. I'm not the first person to tell you that. Your conviction, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you show up will attract people to you, and it strengthens your personal brand. Okay. So this is something that we really work on in the Social Success Club. My club is really set on helping you with your niche, your ideal client, your branding, your messaging. Last week, we did a whole training on content planning. Tomorrow, we'll do actual content audits. But that's exactly what we work on in the club, is all the bits and pieces you need to know to produce content that makes sales. Okay. And if you're interested in the club, feel free to send me a DM on IG with the word club, or if you're on Facebook, you can drop it in the comments. Unfortunately, that won't work on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, go over to IG or Facebook and DM me club. But it's very important that you show up with conviction and the way that you talk, right? So your personality traits for your brand are important. This will help you stay consistent in your communication, in your content, in your messaging. And that's one of the reasons that it's really not going to work for you to look at so-and-so's content and say, oh, that video went viral for her. I'm gonna post the same thing. The reason that doesn't work for you is because that's not your words. That's not your language. That's not your branding. Okay. Yes, you can get inspiration from trends. Yes, you can get inspiration from viral videos. But if you are just taking their caption, throw it in ChatGPT and say, please reword this, it's not going to work. Okay. It's not going to work. That's why 2 people can be selling the same exact product. One is over here making $20,000 a month. One's barely making $20 a month, because that person has nailed down their branding, their messaging, how they speak, their verbal communication. And I use the term verbal, but that's also in your written terminology, right? Because your Instagram captions, if you're doing B-roll, or if you're doing B-roll on TikTok, your written emails, all of that should still be in the language that you speak. It should sound like you. Somebody gets an email from me tomorrow, and I love ChatGPT. I promise. I teach a lot about it in my academy and my club because it's an amazing resource. But that's part of the reason that when you're using it to write everything and you're not adding your own branding into it, it does nothing. It doesn't, because it doesn't sound like you. So you show up, make a TikTok today, you're talking in your TikTok verbally, and then you send an email that sounds like a robot. It's not consistent. Okay. So I want you, action step number 2, I want you to define 5 key personality traits for your brand today. I want you to write them down and help this keep you consistent in your communication. So some of my personality traits, I have underlying humor, okay? Some sarcasm, right? I'm bold. I'm willing to say what everyone's thinking, but no one else is willing to say, right? I'm not super polished when I talk. I'm not. That's not me personally. I can be. I was in corporate for years. I absolutely can. I could put that phone voice on probably better than your mama from the 90s, okay? But I choose not to because it's casual. I keep it casual, okay? I want people to see my content and feel like we're at a coffee shop and they're learning something from me, not like they're in a college class, sleeping at the professor. So define 5 key personality traits for your brand and write them down. Help it keep you consistent in your communication. All right, number 3, your visual identity. So we talked about your values. We talked about your verbal personal brand, but now you've got your visual identity, right? First impressions do matter, okay? And studies show that first impressions are formed within a 1/10 of a second, right? So how does this apply to you, right? How does this apply to you? Because when we're looking at this, we talk about, and I've done this in my trainings before, especially like my TikTok Tactics Challenge, but we always talk about you got 2 to 3 seconds to capture someone's attention. Studies show a 1/10 of a second, okay? A 1/10 of a second. So how can you use this in your business? A couple different ways. One, having a signature style or color or something that pops, right? I cannot tell you how many DMs I get a week, usually on Facebook, of things that are this color, cars, roses, bikinis, flip-flops, people sending it to me and saying, oh my God, I thought of you, right? I thought of you. Look at it. It's everywhere, right? All these, my teals, my version of teals. That's branding. People see that and they're like, oh my God, that reminds me of Elise, right? Reminds me of Elise. The way that you show up in your content is your visual identity. So if you are filming a TikTok or a reel and you're just like, yeah, what's up? Like, hey, hi, how are you? It's Monday. I know. Oh, the weekend. Like, you got a 1/10 of a second to capture people's attention and make a first impression. Sit up, be postured, speak with conviction, right? Speak with conviction. Fonts go back to the branding as well, right? So we're kind of limited on fonts when it comes to like creating inside of platforms. So like TikToks and Reels, it's a little limited on what you can do and can't do. But consider using the same font on all of your headlines or all of your captions on your reels, right? All of your on-screen text. You be consistent with that. I'm not over here telling you got to have a pretty perfect polished grid because we're all real, we're all human, and we do want you to be able to show people that anyone can do this. But consider being consistent with your visual elements as well. Okay. Filters, if you're a filter person, use the same filter over and over. It makes your content recognizable. So if one day they see, you're using this dark overlay and the next day it's bright and the next day you've got, the Paris filter and this, like you're all over the place. And again, going back to what I said earlier, cream of the crop will always rise to the top. Okay. So some of this can help you with recognition, but this is not going to make you 6 figures if your content sucks. Okay. If your content sucks, none of this is really going to help you, but these are things to level up. Okay. So your content has to be the first piece that you got to fix. These are just things to add that will help you with recognition and branding. Okay. Because you got to think about it. People are scrolling super fast through social media. So if they like my content, they've seen me before, they followed me, but maybe my stuff hasn't been showing up on their feed and they see this color come through on their Instagram reel, they're going to be like, oh, that was Elise. Hold on. Go back. Right? It's just recognition. That's important. But again, if your content sucks, it's only going to do so much for you. All right. Number 4, push your content creation comfort zone. Get out of your damn comfort zone. Okay, I made a TikTok about this the other day and it was pretty bold. But if your content is boring, no one is going to watch it. If you're not changing things up, if you're not getting creative in the way that you say things, if you're not standing out, if you're not showing why you're unique, why you're different, it's not going to do anything for you. Get out of your comfort zone. Okay. If every one of your pieces of content, you're sitting in the exact same position, you're saying the exact same thing over and over and over, start moving a little bit. Okay. Content is queen, but keep it simple. Keep it simple. Set yourself a content goal if you haven't already. I like to tell my students in my club and in my academy that I recommend be on at least 2 platforms, especially with TikTok and everything up in the air about it, because you would hate for your whole business to be ripped out from under you because a platform sold or dissolved or got in litigation or whatever. Okay, you don't want your whole business to rely on one platform, but I want you to focus on growing one platform. Look at how your content can be different. And one thing I see a lot of, especially when I've done my challenges and things in the past, is a lot of you work a 9 to 5. Okay. And I get it. Your content creation time is very limited. So a lot of times you're in your car filming on your lunch break or before you go into work or right after you got off or whatever. Find ways to change it up, keep people's attention, be unique. If you don't know what makes you different, your audience doesn't know what makes you different either. Okay. And if you're not different, you're not stopping the scroll, you're not going to see a result in your business. It's that simple. It's that simple. Okay. So you have to find ways to stand out. And I'm going to put a plug in here, but part of the reason you feel so scatterbrained with your content is because you don't have a strategy. You don't have a strategy. Okay. So part of the reason you're sitting in your car filming every day on your lunch break is because you didn't plan your content. You didn't have a plan. So you're like, oh crap, I gotta mark this off my checklist. I gotta hurry up and get my videos done for the day. And so you're throwing shit together on a whim. Am I right? People can feel that. They can tell. They can tell. Okay. 80% of your content is done in the planning. 80% is done in planning. 10% should be you reviewing your analytics, and 10% should you be filming. More likely you're spending more than 60% filming, 30% scrolling, not even looking at your analytics, really, not the ones that matter anyway. Okay, so when you build a content strategy, which is what I work with you on in my programs, you will be able to spend more time batching content or creating content that's speaking to your ideal client. You're not going to throw it together quickly. And you'll be able to actually say, okay, I actually did a video that said this yesterday, so tomorrow I'm going to do one that's a little different. And you'll be able to push your content out of your comfort zone because it will be planned. It will be planned. Okay. If you're throwing your business together on a whim, just to mark the boxes and say, I got my content done for today, you can expect those types of results. And that's not what a CEO does. Okay. So we talked in the beginning about you being the CEO. It's time that you start acting like it. CEOs don't show up to work today and say, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? Right? Now their calendar is freaking planned from A to Z. You got to start acting like a CEO. All right. And tip number 5, and this is unique. This is different. I told you I wanted to give you some different insights today. You can look at ways that you can connect or collaborate with your personal brand. Okay. So your personal brand, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion, isn't just about you. It's about your network and it's about collaborations. Okay. So some ways that you can do this is one of the fastest ways to grow your audience is to get in front of other people's audiences. Okay. It's one of the fastest ways. Of course, you want that to be an even exchange, right? But it's a way for you to get into new audiences, get introduced to new people, and grow your own brand. Now, I will say a couple things here. One, be careful who you collaborate with. This is your brand. This is your name. Okay. You don't want to just collaborate with anyone because you're tying yourself to that person. So choose wisely. But I encourage you to reach out and see what are some ways that you can collaborate? So I'll give you a couple examples because you might be sitting there thinking, well, everyone sells what I sell, so it's not good. Okay, give you a couple examples. So one example, in my academy, we have, all of my curriculum. And when I was rebranding it and bringing out Academy 2.0, because we know social media changes a lot, so I updated some things. I reached out to different people I had worked with in the past that could bring something valuable to my audience that didn't compete with what I did. Okay. So I'll give you an example. I had, there's a CPA that I know who has, she specializes in working with people with online businesses. I asked her if she would do a training on ways to manage your taxes and your bookkeeping and all of that as an online entrepreneur. That does not compete with me at all. I don't do anything with taxes. Nope. But it's valuable to my audience, right? It's valuable to my audience. I saw Chad came on here on TikTok Live a few minutes ago. I asked Chad to do a couple, beginner videos on building funnels. I'm not a funnel expert. I can build one. I don't like to, but I can. I'd rather give him the business, right? So I brought him, I got, him to come in my academy and do some funnel trainings. He asked me to go into Marketech and do some trainings on things that I specialize in, right? Find people that you can collaborate with, because one, it will help get you in front of other people's audiences, but two, it shows who you associate yourself with. It helps with your branding, right? So if I bring someone in and my audience also likes that person, they're like, oh, wow, she's helping other people and they got value out of it, right? So it really is it's about aligning yourself with other brands. So action step number 5, I want you to identify one person you'd love to partner with in 2024. Okay. So think about ways you can collaborate with them, project, an event. Maybe you want to partner with a nonprofit or some philanthropic event, right? I do. I'm very active in my local community. So again, that shows people Socially Awesome is committed to helping others, right? Through my programs, through my courses, and also through, philanthropy. That's a big part of what I do. So I want you to think about some people or brands that you can collaborate with. Okay. So there you have it. 5 simple yet powerful ways to level up your personal brand in 2024. I want you to define your core values. I want you to sharpen your verbal identity. I want you to elevate your visual identity. Okay. I want you to push your content creation boundaries, and I want you to learn how to collaborate. Okay. So I'd love to hear how you're planning to really level up your brand. Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this useful, feel free to share it. Okay. And I will say, if you are interested in working with me at all, whether it be in my club or my academy, definitely make sure that you drop club or academy in the comments on Facebook, or you can DM me that on IG. Unfortunately, on TikTok, it won't pick up the keywords, but I would love to work with you. My club is really focused on your content as a whole. So building your authority, building your credibility, content that converts. My academy is for those who have had some sales, but are really ready to execute that rinse and repeat strategy and move into their first 6-figure year. So it's an elevated experience. But I would love to chat with you about either one of those. If you have questions, feel free. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you've been in your business for a while and you're not seeing the results that you wanted to see, mentorship is probably the way to go. Okay. So TikTok, don't go anywhere. I see you guys have a lot of questions. I'm going to come and answer them. I think I've gotten all the questions on Facebook and IG, but I will see you guys next Wednesday. Bye, y'all.